Have you ever wondered why some people slowly start to pull away as we grow older, even when we've done nothing wrong? It's not always because they don't care. Sometimes, without realizing it, we develop small habits or attitudes that quietly push others away. And the hardest part is, we rarely notice it happening until the silence starts to feel heavier than it used to. In today's video, we're going to talk about 7 common reasons why people secretly distance themselves from older adults, and more importantly, how you can change that starting today. These aren't harsh judgments or criticisms, they're gentle truths shared from real experiences, research, and stories from seniors who've lived it and turned things around. By the end of this video, you'll see how a few small changes in your words, energy, and mindset can help you rebuild stronger, warmer connections with your family, friends, and community, no matter your age. Because the truth is, people don't stop loving you. Sometimes they just forget how to connect. Reason number 1: constant complaining. Let's be real, growing older isn't always easy. There are doctor appointments, bills that keep rising, aches that show up out of nowhere, and a world that feels so different from the one we grew up in. It's completely natural to want to talk about it, to let some of that frustration out. But when every chat becomes a list of what's wrong, the pain, the politics, the weather, the younger generation, people start to quietly step back. Not because they don't love you, but because constant negativity slowly wears them down. Think about that one friend or neighbor who always starts with, "You won't believe what happened today," and you already know it's going to be something bad. After a while, you catch yourself avoiding their calls or cutting the visit short. It's not that you don't care, it's that you walk away feeling drained. Now imagine if someone feels that way around you without you realizing it. The truth is, most complaining isn't about being negative. It's about wanting to feel heard. When you've lived a long, full life, you've seen enough unfairness and disappointment to last a lifetime. But if every story we tell is colored by frustration, it creates an invisible wall between us and the people we love. Try this instead. Balance every complaint with one thing you're grateful for. If you're talking about your back pain, add, "But I'm glad I can still take my morning walk." If you're frustrated with the world, say, "At least I have people to talk about it." Small shifts like that change everything. Positivity doesn't mean pretending life is perfect, it means remembering that there's still beauty left in it. When you share that energy, you'll notice people wanting to stay longer, laugh more, and open up again. Reason number 2: talking down to others. One of the most common habits that quietly pushes people away, especially younger family members, is talking down without realizing it. It's something many older adults do out of love, not pride. You've lived through challenges, you've learned lessons the hard way, and naturally, you want to share what you know so others don't make the same mistakes. But sometimes what feels like helpful advice can sound like criticism or control to the person listening. Maybe you've told your daughter, "You're raising those kids all wrong," or reminded your grandson, "When I was your age, I worked twice as hard." These comments might come from care, but they can make others feel judged or dismissed. You might notice that over time, people stop asking for your opinion or change the subject when you speak. It's not because your wisdom isn't valuable, it's because they're tired of feeling small around you. Here's something to remember. Advice works best when it's invited. Instead of jumping in to correct someone, try saying, "Would you like to hear what helped me?" That small question shows respect. It gives the other person choice and dignity. Listening before speaking builds bridges faster than any advice ever could. You may have noticed this in your own life. Maybe a friend who always has an answer for everything, who interrupts or one-ups your stories. After a while, you stop sharing much with them, right? That's exactly how others feel when they sense they're being talked down to. You've earned your wisdom, no doubt about that, But real wisdom isn't about always being right. It's about knowing when to listen. When people feel heard, they'll naturally start turning to you again, not because they have to, but because they want to. And that's the kind of respect that lasts a lifetime. Reason number 3. Refusing to adapt. Change can be uncomfortable. There's no denying that. The world today looks nothing like it did 30 or 40 years ago. Everything is digital, people talk through screens, even grocery shopping happens with an app. It's easy to feel left behind, and sometimes the simplest response is to say, "I don't get all this new stuff," or "things were better in my time." But here's the thing. When we resist change too much, we unknowingly send a message that we've stopped being interested in learning or growing, and that makes it harder for others, especially the younger ones, to connect with us. Take, for example, a grandmother who refuses to try video calls. Her family moves to another state and invites her to chat online, but she always says, "Oh, I don't want to bother with that nonsense." At first, everyone laughs it off, but eventually those video calls just stop. Not because they don't love her, but because they don't want to keep hearing no. What started as a small hesitation slowly turned into distance. Psychologists say that adaptability, the ability to try something new, is a sign of emotional strength. It tells others, "I may be older, but I'm still curious, still open, still alive inside." You don't have to love technology or change who you are. Even simple things like trying a new dish, learning to text your grandchild, or visiting a new cafe instead of the same one show others that you're still moving forward. When you stay open-minded, people see your energy, not your age. They'll want to include you, teach you things, share experiences, and spend more time with you. Remember, growth doesn't stop with retirement. You've reinvented yourself many times in life. This is just another beautiful chance to do it again. Staying flexible doesn't mean losing who you are. Reason number 4. Dwelling on the past. There's nothing wrong with reminiscing. In fact, memories are one of life's sweetest treasures. Talking about the good old days can bring joy, laughter, and pride, especially when those moments remind you of how far you've come. But when every conversation circles back to the past, it can quietly make others feel left out or disconnected from you. Picture this. Your grandson excitedly tells you about a new job or a trip he's planning, and you respond, "When I was your age, things were so much harder. We didn't have it easy like you do." You mean no harm, but in that moment, his excitement fades. He feels unheard, and the distance between generations grows just a little wider. Over time, if every story, every moment becomes a comparison to how it used to be, people may stop sharing altogether. For many older adults, talking about the past brings comfort. It's a safe place filled with meaning and pride. But psychologists say that while nostalgia can lift our mood, living too much in yesterday can trap us in regret or longing. The world keeps moving, and the people around us want to build new memories with us, not just hear about old ones. You can still celebrate your past while staying rooted in the present. When you share an old story, connect it to something current. For example, that reminds me of when we built our first home. It's amazing how much things have changed. I'd love to see how you're doing it now. That way, your memories become bridges, not barriers. Your story isn't finished. There are still chapters left to write. Moments of laughter, new friendships, and unexpected joy waiting to be lived. Cherish the memories, yes, but make sure you're still creating new ones, because life isn't just what's behind you, it's everything that's still ahead. Reason number 5. Overstepping boundaries. As we get older, it's natural to want to stay close to the people we love, our children, grandchildren, friends, and neighbors. We've spent a lifetime caring for others, giving advice, solving problems.
But sometimes that same care can quietly cross into control without us realizing it. Overstepping boundaries doesn't always mean doing something big. It can be as simple as offering too much advice, showing up unannounced, or asking questions that feel too personal. Imagine this. Your daughter mentions she's planning a family trip, and before she finishes, you jump in with, "You shouldn't go there. It's too expensive. You should take the kids somewhere safer." You're only trying to help, but she feels criticized. Or maybe your neighbor shares something private and later hears you mentioned it to others. Even if you meant no harm, that trust becomes harder to rebuild. People, no matter their age, need to feel ownership over their choices. When they sense that you don't trust them to handle things on their own, they may begin to pull away, not out of anger, but to protect their space. Psychologists say healthy relationships need three things: respect, independence, and trust. Learning to pause before offering help or advice can make a world of difference. Try asking, "Would you like my thoughts on this?" Or simply say, "I'm here if you need me." These small phrases tell people that you value their freedom while still being there for them. Remember, love doesn't always mean fixing everything. Sometimes it means stepping back and allowing others to grow, even if they stumble. When you respect someone's boundaries, you're not losing closeness, you're deepening it. Because true connection is built on mutual respect, not control, and that's what keeps relationships alive, even as the years go by. Reason number 6: neglecting self-care. As the years pass, it's easy to start putting yourself last. Maybe you skip meals because cooking feels like a chore, or you stop exercising because of old aches and pains. Some days, even getting dressed or brushing your hair feels like too much effort. It happens slowly, one small choice at a time, until one day you notice that you don't feel like yourself anymore. But here's the truth. When you stop taking care of yourself, people around you notice. And even though they may care deeply, it can make them feel helpless, uncomfortable, or unsure how to connect. Think about the last time you visited someone who seemed to have given up on their own well-being. Maybe their clothes were unwashed, their house was dark, or they spoke with no spark in their voice. You probably wanted to help, but also felt a little uneasy. That's exactly how loved ones can feel when they see you neglecting yourself, worried but unsure what to say. Neglecting self-care doesn't just affect how others see you, it changes how you see yourself. When you stop investing even a little time in your health and appearance, you send a silent message that you've stopped believing you matter. But you do matter. You've lived through so much, and your presence still brings light to those who love you. Start small. Drink a little more water, walk around the block, fix your hair, or wear something that makes you feel good. Prepare a meal you enjoy, or listen to music that lifts your mood. These aren't small acts, they're signs of self-respect. When you take care of yourself, others feel inspired to stay close. They see your strength, not your struggle. And most importantly, you begin to feel alive again. Not just surviving, but living with pride, purpose, and joy. Because self-care isn't vanity, it's dignity. And you deserve that every single day. Reason number 7: dismissing younger generations. It's easy to look at the younger generation and think, they don't know how hard we had it, or they've got it too easy. But when those thoughts start slipping into conversations, they can quietly create distance. Many older adults don't mean to sound dismissive, they're just sharing how life was different. Still, when every story becomes a comparison, younger people often feel judged instead of understood. Imagine your grandson telling you about his stress at work, and you respond, "You think that's tough? Back in my day, we worked double that for half the pay." You mean to show strength and perspective, but to him, it sounds like his struggles don't matter. Or maybe your granddaughter talks about mental health, and you reply, "We didn't have time for that nonsense when I was young." In that moment, what she hears isn't wisdom, it's rejection. Psychologists remind us that every generation faces its own kind of challenge. Just because it looks different doesn't mean it's easier. When you show curiosity, asking, "What's that like for you?" or "Tell me more about how that works," you open a door instead of closing one. Younger people crave understanding, just like you do. They don't expect you to agree with everything, but they do hope you'll listen. The truth is, you have something powerful to offer, your experience. But it shines brightest when shared with kindness, not comparison. When you encourage instead of criticize, when you listen before you lecture, you become a safe place, someone they want to talk to. As we close this conversation, I want you to take a quiet breath and think about what truly matters. Not the mistakes, not the regrets, but the relationships that make life meaningful. Maybe you saw a bit of yourself in these 7 habits. That's okay. Awareness is the first step toward change, and the fact that you're here, listening, already shows courage and care. We all slip into patterns that push people away without meaning to. But every new sunrise gives us another chance to do better, to speak with kindness, to listen without judgment, to show love without control. The truth is, age doesn't separate us from connection. It gives us the wisdom to make it stronger. You still have the power to brighten someone's day with your words, your patience, your presence. So start small. Reach out to someone you've drifted from. Offer a compliment, not advice. Share a story, but also ask to hear theirs. Life isn't about how long we've lived, it's about how deeply we love while we're still here. Now, tell me in the comments, which of these habits do you think affects relationships the most? I'd love to hear your thoughts.